Let's say you're on a number of different blood pressure medications and you want to get off them and you desperately want to try natural methods, but you're afraid of things interacting with your blood pressure medications. What should you do? Here's some ideas to run by your doctor. The first one would be to start with things that are very benign, very safe. What do I mean by this? Well, walking, exercise. Now, we're not talking about doing some type of high intensity interval training at the CrossFit gym the first time you go in there. That would be very unwise for someone who has high blood pressure. We're talking about general walking for exercise, trying to build up to 30 minutes a day. A lot of times people will ask in the comment section, I'm on this blood pressure medication, is it okay if I walk? And I think to myself, well, what are you doing now? Are you walking? If you park your car, do you walk to the doctor's office? Do you walk to the toilet? Do you walk at the grocery store? Or are you in a cart? Probably you're walking right now, you're just not doing it at a level that is considered exercise. So if you ask your doctor, hey doctor, is it okay if I exercise if I'm on this blood pressure medication? I can't even imagine any doctor would say, gee, Mrs. Jones, I don't think you should be walking. Well, how do I get to the bathroom, doc? How do I get from my car to my doctor's appointments? You're gonna have to walk. So it's unlikely that any doctor is going to say, I want you to stay on these 3 blood pressure medications and I want you not to do any activity whatsoever. Just stay on these blood pressure medications. The only way that's going to occur is if you're in a hospital bed, lying in bed with tubes up into your arms. Even then, the nurses come and get you, and what do? They want you to get walking so you don't get bed sores and blood clots and all that stuff. So is walking something you can do while you're still on blood pressure medications? Heck yeah. So maybe we should consider that. The second thing is, what about breathing? Now, I always wanted to know if there's any doctor out there that does not recommend deep breathing exercises for patients with high blood pressure. They don't mention it. It's not that they're not recommending it. If you went to your doctor and said, doctor, I have high blood pressure. Am I allowed to breathe deeply? What the heck is he gonna say? No, I don't want you to breathe. I want you to breathe shallow and keep taking those blood pressure medications so they're gonna keep you alive. They're not gonna say that. They're probably gonna scratch their heads and think to themselves, yeah, why not? It's not rocket science, it's deep breathing. You're just taking a breath in, like I'm doing now, just a little deeper. What harm can it do? If it lowers your blood pressure, maybe you can start to reduce the blood pressure, your stress, your anxiety. There's lots of benefits with no real bad things associated with it. The third is you can change your diet. Now this is a big one because people love to argue about diets and which diet is going to be the best diet or the ideal diet or the human diet or the caveman diet or the diet that we should all follow. And the answer is that if you were to ask your doctor, hey, if I'm on this medication, what diet should I follow? My guess is that you're going to get a guy that's probably going to stare right through you and he'll probably give some advice like, well, just balanced. And you're like, well, what the hell does that mean? Does that mean I have, like in those old commercials with the Cocoa Puffs and the orange juice and the milk and the piece of fruit, is that a balanced diet? According to the cereal manufacturers, it is. I don't know who lived through that era and drank orange juice and milk with Cocoa Puffs and then had a piece of fruit. They were probably in their first grade, just totally with diarrhea. Some medications have some interactions with certain foods, and I have lots of videos on that. So if you want to know what foods you should not eat with certain medications, then I've made those videos already. So you could just look those up on the search function. But the question is, instead of getting into what are you not supposed to eat, rather than being negative of don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this, don't eat that, what can you eat? Are you allowed to eat healthy foods? Are you allowed to eat ultra-processed foods? You could literally improve your health tremendously if you just stopped eating ultra-processed foods and ate foods that didn't have an ingredient list a mile long. Think of steak, think of chicken, think of fish, think of all vegetables. When you go down the aisle in the supermarket, all those foods, they don't have ingredients. Fruits. Now I know I've pushed some buttons here because some people don't like fruits because they have high in sugar. They don't like vegetables because those are high in sugar and high in carbohydrates too, and maybe some people are not trying to eat carbohydrates. I know I upset people because of the fish and the chicken and the meat because, there's got to be something wrong with those. Eggs have high cholesterol, right? So clearly every food has the potential to have someone that's against it. But when you look at all the foods I just mentioned, there's no ultra processing of those foods. And so when you're getting started, if you're on a lot of medications, you might be better off eating just natural foods. So if you start with that and just start walking and start doing deep breathing exercises every day, and you start eating more natural foods, these are things that are not very controversial, and it should be, without question, very valuable in lowering your blood pressure. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you would like to know my complete guide of how to lower blood pressure, click this box right here, and this will send you to my entire video, everything's free, of how to naturally lower your blood pressure.